Good morning, everyone. Good morning. Could you hear me when I said good morning? You, it's on now? Oh, good. Good morning to everyone. Thank you for coming. Good morning. So, just want to say good morning to those that are live streaming. Live streaming. Thank you for joining us through live stream. Joe is not here today. He's on his, I don't know if you call it vacation or his wife's birthday, whichever, because her birthday's coming up, and they go every year in October. They go to Corpus Christi for a week for her birthday. So there are several of us that are doing the program this morning. Just wanted to remind y'all that we have birthday lunch next weekend, next Friday, and we are going to Stoneworks. It's not on here. That's good. I like that. And then, then on Friday the 24th, we're going to have Bruce Martin coming in, and he is. Where's Kathy? There you. Do you know what he's going to talk about?
Like the Institute of Texan Cultures, when they build something else, he would be able to show this is what it was, this is what it is now. So for those of us who grew up in San Antonio or have lived here a long time, it's fascinating, some of the buildings that are no longer standing. So that's what he's talking about.
Okay, thank you, Kathy. And that's what Bruce Martin's going to bring to us. In December, on December 7th, we are going to see Sound of Music. If you haven't signed up yet, be sure you sign up. It is going to cost us $26. So, yeah. I'm holding the sign-up sheet. I'm sorry. I will put it on the table, though, so you can sign up. Sorry. Where is Suzanne? Suzanne's going to talk to us about Pichas just a little bit here.
Okay, last week I was told that some of us don't know what Pichas is. It stands for Presbyterian Children's Home and Services. And we had been gathering money for pumpkins, and we now have $273 to buy pumpkins. Last year when I bought 45 pumpkins, it came to $202.50. So hopefully they haven't gone up too much. I also buy some stickers to stick on the pumpkins. But Pichas started actually in 1903 up in Dallas. A young widow, or a widow with 3 children, found out that she had TB, and she was wondering what was going to happen to her children when she died, because that's what she did back in 1903. And it turned out that she talked to her minister, and the women of the church, of the Presbyterian Church up in Dallas, I don't remember which one it is, rented a house, hired a woman to take care of the children, and that's where it started to, take care of children, an orphanage. It moved to Itasca for a while. It is now several different types of services, mainly in Texas, Louisiana, and Missouri. The services are foster care. 1 year, I think Keys did something, Christmas presents for a foster family. It also we have single parent families that we do with. They have child and family counseling. And here in San Antonio, I think in the 1990s, they had a couple of houses for boys and girls, and they bought 2 farmhouses on Whitby Road that came with a barn with a horse in it and someone to take care of the horse. And that lasted for a while until the insurance on the horse got a little expensive. So they sort of changed their what they're doing. They now have 8 duplexes, so that's 16 apartments for single parent families. And we were buying pumpkins mainly for all the children in the single-parent families. And they also built 5 studio apartments on the top floor of one of the houses, and those are for transitional young adults who have aged out of foster care. And we also give them pumpkins. They're rather good at different little things. It's sort of interesting. We have places in like Dallas still, Houston, Itasca. Corpus works with us too, and I forgot what I was going to say. Senior moment. But we work with helping them. They have counseling out at their Whitby Road, which got flooded out, so they're working on that. But the services are more than just taking care of single-parent families. I know what I was going to say. Yeah, over the summer, one of the parents that moved out of the plan bought a house. And this is the second one that has bought a house. One of them bought a house in Houston, which it's very interesting. I mean, they try to teach them to do different things. You know, sometimes when you find yourself as a single parent, I was lucky when my husband died. I had a job. I had his life insurance, but sometimes you're just left. They do such things as they charge them rent out there. They charge them rent mainly to learn to pay your rent. All of this rent goes into a savings account, and when they leave with all their rent, which means they have a nice, sum to put a deposit on an apartment or maybe a house. So it's just, I found it to be a really good organization to deal with, and that's why we saved up money for pumpkins, which I have learned we're going to go buy all 45 of them at one time, because I one time took the pumpkins home. You can only pick up one pumpkin at a time. You can put it in a wagon, but you still have to pick up one pumpkin at a time, and you can't really leave them outside, until you do it. So I hope that tells you a little bit about Peachos. Yes. What? I think we probably will be, yes. Women of the Church does something with them for Christmas. Last year, we bought them, the transitional people, we bought them vacuum cleaners, and that's sort of what we did. We do something a little extra all the time for mainly the transitional. And we also, the year before, we did something for a foster family. So whatever Banner comes up with, whatever need, we'll probably be helping out with that. Okay.
Thank you, Suzanne. Okay, now, if I can get you up here, Kathy.
Hello, everybody. I have the honor of introducing our speaker today. She's a good friend of mine. I've known her for a long time. She's a collector at heart, and so am I. And as you get older, they call us hoarders, but right now we're collectors. My friend's name is Susan Toomey Frost, whose lifetime passion is collecting. Is the leading authority on San Jose decorative art tiles and pottery dating back to the 1920s in San Antonio and Mexico. She's the author of 4 books. When I saw this book, I fell in love with the graphics and the color of the tiles and the history that happened right here in San Antonio. These tiles are throughout our city still today. The example that, I'm not stealing your thunder or giving you a presentation, I hope. But the one that comes to mind is La Fondon, Maine. As you walk into the door, there's all that beautiful tile. Or over at the McNay that's decorative around the fountains. This tile can be found throughout San Antonio still today. So have a book that's so complete is it's a jewel of a book. It's a beautiful book, and to have the author talk to us about how she put it together is, to me, a very special thing. So the name of the book is Colors on Clay: The San Jose Tile Workshops of San Antonio. It's the San Antonio Trinity Press edition, 2009. This book was also honored by the San Antonio Conservation Society. She's also written other books because she spends her time either here in San Antonio or in Mexico. She has Timeless Mexico, the photographs of Hugo Breme. Another book, Roberto de la Selva, Modern Mexican Masterpieces in Wood. And the most current one is Witnesses to War, Photographs of Mexico by Walter Elias Hadsell. I was able to see the presentation of that and go to the initial book signing, and it's fascinating. It just happened right south of the border, and these are a lot of things that we might not be as familiar with, so you might have her come back for that one. She graduated from the University of Texas and has taught English and linguistics at one college and 3 universities in Texas and in Mexico. Frost has appeared on PBS, Collecting Across America, HGTV, highlighted her Austin home as a historic house museum, and Fox television channel FX featured Frost as a super collector. Her name is on eBay as Benign Obsession, and she has a website, www.susanfrost.org. Let's everybody welcome Susan to talk to us today. You're hooked up, right?
I'm hooked up. Hello, hello. Thank all for coming. Thank you, thank you. First of all, I want to ask, how many of you all have gone to Mo Ranch? Well, okay. Well, I'm going to give you a little background about the tiles there. I don't know if you remember that there were a lot of tiles, but that's principally what we're going to talk about, are the tiles at Mo Ranch. But first I'll start you out and talk about the woman who you may not have heard of. She's one, I would say, a founding mother of San Antonio, but one that we might not be familiar with so much. Her name was Ethel Wilson Harris. Her father had Wilson Lumber Company, and he had a stock of tiles that he couldn't sell. And so she said, I can do that. And so she became the first tile contractor in the United States who was a woman. And she ended up manufacturing tiles. She opened up a business to make the tiles. She herself did not make them. She was the entrepreneur who hired people to make these tiles, to design and make them. Now, the first thing you see here is a mural. It's called Huapango. She had a great interest in Mexico and went down there at least once a year. And so this was at a time when there was perhaps a little less acceptance of our Mexican heritage here. I always think of San Antonio as the northernmost city of Mexico, and we have close ties with Mexico. Is the flipper on? There, whoop, very on. Okay, here she is. As a young woman, that was her engagement picture in the paper. And then older, she is at, recognize Maria's Tortillas? Where's that? Nightingale, San Antonio. She was the co-founder of Nightingale, San Antonio. I'll get this after a while. Aiming at the computer. Oh, you know, it requires a higher IQ. Well, you get, oh, there we go. Okay. This is not very far from here. This building is located at the corner, or was located, at the corner of North St. Mary Street and McCullough, where the bridge is, and the river. There's a bridge over the river there. It's the old Lewis barn. So she rented the old Lewis barn to start her business. It was called Mexican Arts and Crafts. On the left side, lower left side, there is her logo. It's a maguey plant, and you will see that on the pottery. I have a book here, a copy of the book, and we can pass it around and you can look at the book while we're talking. She ended up hiring a lot of people, and they made the tiles there. And she was very, very good at marketing. She was way ahead of her time in how she marketed things. And that led to the success of the business. I'm going crazy with this thing. Can I tell you to flip it? Okay. All right. Here's a person, it was an early hire, Angel Rendon, and he is sitting in a little chair, and he's sitting in front of a bus. She got a bus, painted it green with gold letters, Mexican Arts and Crafts, and that bus took off for Chicago, for the Chicago World's Fair in 1933 and 1934. Mexican Arts and Crafts was the only business from San Antonio that was at the Chicago World's Fair. She wrangled the position of having a beautiful tile fountain, next slide please, in front of the horticultural building. And it was such a success that the following New York Fair, World's Fair, invited her to put a fountain in front of the entrance to the horticultural building there. Next slide, please. So, a woman in Chicago saw that fountain and liked it so much, she commissioned Harris to make a smaller fountain for her. Both fountains have a marine motif to them. So, a friend of mine who's a tile collector and loves San Jose found out that that tile was for sale in Chicago at an architectural salvage place. And so she bought it, took it to California where she lived, and then when she was moving to another city in California, she wanted me to buy it. And I said, I've got a better idea. Why don't you give it to the Whitty Museum? And so she gave most of it. We wrangled some money through the collections committee of the Whitty to pay for the shipping and to give her some playing around money. But it came here, and it is in front of the Resource Center at the Whitty. That's the building that is to the south of the bigger Whitty Museum. And that's where the library is. That's where most all of the art is that you can see on panels. It's a wonderful place, and that's where you can do research. Next slide, please. Also at the Whitty, there are a couple of murals that are there. The top one is called Xochimilco, and it was put in the Texas wing of the museum, nearest as possible to the river. So Mrs. Harris, when she did these tiles, the designer mostly used generic representations of Mexico. And you'll notice that there's some mountains in the back with snow on them, volcanoes. And I've always wondered, because Mrs. Harris mostly marketed to tourists, if they bought the tiles with these things, got home and say, you know, I miss the volcanoes in San Antonio. Where were they? The top one, Xochimilco, the bottom one represents a Mexican village. Next slide. To make more tiles and have more space, Mrs. Harris formed San Jose Potteries, and that was to be the production facility for Mexican arts and crafts down on the river. And she had programs galore at Mexican arts and crafts along the river. And it was a wonderful place. San Jose Potteries, all of these employees there, most of them are women, and it was the women who decorated the tiles. Next slide, please. In a thing like this. The next slide, please, will show you how it worked. The design was done by a designer. You'll see his picture in a little while. And if you look, there are little numbers written on parts of the design. That tells the decorator where to put the lead-based glazes on the tile. They take a bisque tile, a piece of carbon paper on top, then they put the template on, press the design outline, the carbon transfers to the tile, and then the outline is done with a wax kind of resist, so that when the very liquid lead-based glazes go on, the wax part keeps the things from running into each other. And so you can see how the colors translate. This little thing is called, this design is called Love Letter. Is the book, can you take the dust jacket off the book and show the people what's on the front of the book? Trinity Press did a glorious job of this. Hold it up and see, they inlaid that tile on the front, the design of it. Now, how often do you see that on an American book? It's common in beautiful books in Mexico. And I mentioned that to the production person, and lo and behold, when I got the book, I didn't know he had done this. So thank you, Trinity, for a gorgeous, gorgeous book. Next tile, please. Back to the women. Mrs. Harris did not allow people to use their names and put their names on there. But you'll see at the bottom right, SJP for San Jose Potteries, Rose. Now, Kathy has a tile. Kathy, who signed yours? Ramona? Ramona is one of the people. She's not in this picture. But Rose is the very far right person. Now, how that signature got on there was like this. When Mrs. Harris established San Jose Potteries, she had investors in the pottery. One of them was a man whose father had died and left him money. He wanted to buy a funeral home, but the mother said, no, that's not right. You know, I won't let you buy a funeral home, but there's a nice pottery you can invest your money in. And so he invested, knowing nothing about tiles or running anything, and he ran it into the ground. And, well, actually, Mrs. Harris got into a fight with the mother because the mother decided she could make designs, and she was changing the colors. Mrs. Harris was very strict about the quality and the product that she was producing. And so she got very angry when the woman kind of took over. And so Mrs. Harris washed her hands of San Jose potteries. And that's how some things changed. And you can really, if you're a collector of this, see the difference of the quality of the product when Mrs. Harris was in charge and when someone else was. The pottery ended up catching on fire and burning down. It was where the visitor center is at San Jose Mission now. Next slide. So, what to see? These are WPA murals that are on the river. The WPA was the Work Projects Administration, and Mrs. Harris did both of these, supervised them. The one on the left honors the trail drivers. The daughters raised the money to do that. And the one on the right shows or depicts the legend where snipers were going into the cypress trees, and shooting the Texans as they came to the river to drink. Now, mind you, it was Mexico. We Texans were the interlopers onto Mexican land. So that's down at the river. Next slide, please. There's another tile mural that's there that wasn't there before. This one was commissioned by Maury Maverick, who was a friend of Mrs. Harris. And it was located in a house up in North San Antonio that was going to be torn down. And so it got rescued and then installed on the river when they had the new museum reach opened up in about 2009. That's when it went in. And that is to the left, the building there is the Tropicana Hotel. And then to the right was Mexican Arts and Crafts. So that mural is positioned just right, just a few yards from where it was made. Next slide, please. Here's another WPA thing. The WPA projects could only go into public places. And so this one went into Thomas Jefferson High School. Mrs. Harris's husband taught at Thomas Jefferson, and her children went to Thomas Jefferson. She had 4 children. Next slide, please. Here's another mural in which art students at Jefferson High participated in the design of this. And I show some little drawings here. Those are some of the products or the signature things that lived in the places on the map. And they're also the shields of the states and the countries. It's in honor of Pan America, which was very popular at the time. Next slide, please. Mrs. Harris moved Mexican Arts and Crafts to San Jose Mission. She had been selling products in a gift shop at the mission before, but she physically moved and lived there in one of the, what were the little housing units, the doors that are around, where the Indians had lived and people who lived at the mission lived. She lived there. So on the top you see one of the tiles that depicted San Jose Mission and then the mission itself. Next slide, please. All right. Mrs. Harris is on the ground. Behind her is her husband, and he's smoking. So let this be a lesson. Arthur died pretty early. If you smoke now, please stop. Mrs. Harris started putting on Night in Old San Antonio at Mission San Jose. She called it the Harvest Festival. But when she and O'Neill Ford's mother teamed up to found Night in Old San Antonio for the Conservation Society, they changed it to Night in Old San Antonio. Next slide, please. Here she is. Every event that Mrs. Harris put on involved food. She felt that was the best way to get support, raise money, so every fundraiser had a good food program to it. Certainly Night in Old San Antonio has for many, many years. The tile shows the chili queens that were in front of the Alamo. Next slide, please. So here is what she ended up changing the name to Mission Crafts when they were located at the mission. And some of the workers here, that's the man that you saw early on that went to Chicago, Angel Rendon. That's him on the left, sitting again in a chair. And some of the products are on the wall. You'll see the one on the left hanging. You're going to see that in a minute. Next slide, please. Mrs. Harris brought property that was adjacent to the grounds of San Jose Mission. Her oldest son designed the house. He became an architect. Mrs. Harris had these 4 children. So here she is talking about single moms earlier. All 4 children went to college. And she did all that by just sheer grit and determination to raise the money. And she worked so hard, it was amazing. I asked one of the children, when did she sleep? Because it seemed like she was everywhere working so hard, either for historic preservation and the Conservation Society, her own business, and all the things that she was doing. Next. Here are some of the things that are in that house. So next time you go to Mission San Jose, maybe see if they will let you get into the house. They've changed the house into staff offices. But I think if you ask really nice, one of the rangers, they'll let you in. And you can see these tiles in person. Next slide, please. This one was hanging on the wall that you saw where the workers were at Mission San Jose. It was hanging. It's called La Sombra, or Las Sombras. And it depicts the story of the cross, telling the story through the shadows. The sombra is the devotion. Mrs. Harris was a member of St. Mark's. So this was donated to St. Mark's in memory of Mrs. Harris. And they put it at there's a line here where people go to get their food, and they put it right at the beginning of that. And I've been told, and St. Mark's has a very robust program in feeding the homeless and people at lunchtime, that I have been told that many people consider that as a blessing, and they see that cross themselves before they eat their meal. So I think that's pretty wonderful. And it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. That's all original. Next slide. Now, the designer of this was a 15-year-old boy who Mrs. Harris hired when he was in high school. When he was at Mark Twain, he won the Fiesta competition for the poster for Fiesta. And so that's the poster that he drew. His name was Fernando Ramos. He was also a wonderful dancer. And so the tiles that Mrs. Harris had feature a lot of dancing. Next slide, please. He designed this. It's the Tehuana from the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. This is at the Minger Hotel in the courtyard, and it's quite beautiful. So go down there, eat mango ice cream, and look at this beautiful, beautiful fountain. It's no longer a fountain because tiles and water don't always mix well. And so it's a planter now more. Next slide, please. Now let's get to Mo Ranch. Dan Moran was the president of Conoco Oil, and he bought that land up there. Originally, he intended it, I think, to be more, when he was going to give it away, to be a Boy Scout camp, or Girl Scouts and Boy Scouts. He was very much in favor of them. The ranch, as you know, is up on the Guadalupe River. It was in the flood. It was higher up on the river, and the staff at Mo Ranch noticed that the water was rising. They picked anybody and anything that was of importance in the lower part, and they took it upland. No one was hurt or drowned or lost at Mo Ranch in this. Next slide, please. Now, do you remember the swimming pool? So this had geometric tiles around it. Next slide. But the wonderful thing is the abundance of tile that depict cowboys and horses and Western themes. Dan Moran worked in Mexico in the Veracruz area as an oil man. And why at Mo Ranch there's so many pipes, like the bridge that you cross, of all of those are leftover pipes and things from the oil business that he installed at the ranch. Next slide, please. At Loma Linda, do you all remember seeing the tiles there? You do? Great. And they've had reunions and things over the years and had special things about the tiles. They're very happy they have those tiles, and they discovered some boxes in a place, in a room, a storage area, that had more tiles, and they were good enough to install those. So they take care of their tiles. They love them. This is a Boy Scout over the fireplace. Next slide. And Girl Scouts. Next slide. Hand signals. Next slide. They're just all over the place. Now, the very bottom right-hand corner, the flooring. The flooring is made out of cement. It's a different tile from the tiles that you see elsewhere. Mrs. Harris's tiles were made from clay, and the color came from lead-based glazes, who only show their rich color when they're fired in a kiln. Decorative pressed concrete tile is different. It's made from cement. San Antonio had, I think, the second largest quarries or existence of the tile that make the limestone that makes Portland cement. So we had a lot. We were manufacturing it in San Antonio. It was very labor intensive to make it. It's mixed with sand. It has powder that makes the color, and then it's pressed under a lot of pressure, and that takes a lot of labor. And so we don't make it anymore. It is made still in Mexico, and it's made in places like Vietnam and other places where you can have inexpensive or much cheaper labor. Next one. So, there are lots and lots of the designs that are at Moe Ranch. Here are some of them. Next slide. And more. And it kind of goes on and on and on. Next slide. At the guest lodge, you can see decorative glazed tile up the staircase, but there's also a fireplace there. Next slide. And a bar. They call it the lunch counter. Next slide. And here's the mural that's over the fireplace. Mr. Moran really commissioned a lot of original designs that were at Moe Ranch that are nowhere else. Next time. And on each side of that mural are these beautiful plates. I love the plates that have cobalt around the edge. I just love that rich, rich cobalt blue. The other color that is wonderful is that uranium red-orange that's in the skirts of the girls. And that was restricted in World War II. People came from the military to Mrs. Harris's facility at San Jose and wanted her uranium. And so she said in Spanish to the main decorator, "Go hide it," which they did. And so prior to World War II, you can see lots of uranium red-orange. She used it lavishly in the tiles. But after World War II, it became more sparing about saving it to use to mix. And Mrs. Harris was the one who did the formulas to mix the glazes. Next. Nicholas has a bar. And these four things, top left, top right, the Xochimilco motif again, and the one on the right is called La Paloma, where he's serenading her and she's holding, well, actually there are two palomas in there, one's on the ground. But those are the murals that are on that bar with, again, that pretty cobalt. Next one. Lots more single tiles at Moe Ranch. And you can see many of these in the book of reproduced where you can see them better and know their names of the tiles. Next one, please. And more of the plates. There were, thanks to the Dallas Conservation Society, they had the catalogs. And so we know what was produced, what was available, and how much it cost. Next. So, I was there once we were doing a seminar, and they wanted to hear about the tiles. And Dan Moran's son was there. And so I got him to stand next to the tile that shows him on the horse. And that's his sister on the other horse. She passed away, but Dan Jr. was still alive, and I got to meet him. And he was happy to be there, and for him, he said he was learning about the tiles. He knew they were there, but he didn't know how they got there. Is there any more? That's the last one? No, there's one more? Oh, here we go. Well, here's a plug for the book. I understand it's really cheap right now on Amazon. Trinity University Press might make you a good deal too, now that they're kind of going out. I'm so sorry to hear that. They've done 2 of my books. And I'm sorry to see a wonderful little regional press we've lost it, you know, and publishing books of local interest. So I am happy to answer questions. I have a handout for you. This shows some of the places I talked about, and you can do your own self-guided tour to see the tiles in person. The easiest one for you from here is right across the river and see the long village thing that Maury Maverick had commissioned. So if you'll hand or throw them around, I made 25 copies, and they're about, I think, 25 people. If you're couples, you might want to share. And just pass them around, and I'm happy to answer questions if you have any.
Anybody got any questions?
Yes, David. David Youngquist, you all know. When I moved back to San Antonio after having been gone a long time living in Mexico and Austin, Texas, David remodeled the house I bought. So this is like 20 years ago. David did a beautiful job. David.
And actually, it was a really fun job because Susan had a clear goal to make her house. Everything in her house would have been available when the house was built in 1929. Is that right?
Yeah.
And that made it a fun project. And she was a great person to work with, too. So my question is, I know at that point in time you were still discovering San Jose tile in different places and rescuing it and trying to bring it back to San Antonio. Are you still continuing that work, or is that still happening?
Is that still happening? Well, I guess the latest big one was getting that planter, the little fountain, back and getting it here. We've lost so much of our tiles that people, for years, I think we took it for granted and didn't think it was that important. It's unique. Our tiles are different. Mostly people in California love it. They have tiles, but they're mostly geometric. Our tiles tell stories. Our tiles have people in them. And so it's mostly Californians that had tiles chipped out of walls in San Antonio. They were, for example, the man who owned Wynn's stores, remember the 5 and dime stores? On his buildings, every one of them, he would have like black wainscoting, and then there would be tiles on them. But people were coming and chipping them out and then sending them to California to be restored and then sold. And so we lost them. I was living in Austin at the time. I would get calls like I'm the tile police. And they would say they're chipping them out on New Braunfels. And so I'd jump in the car and come down, and someone was in the process of taking out these murals. And then the ones they hadn't taken out, they used a whitewash and hid the ones that they were saving to come back for. And so we've lost them. And they've been stolen or just abandoned or taken out where they shouldn't have been at all because we didn't honor them. And it is something that is in San Antonio's heritage. It's something that's been given to us that help make San Antonio San Antonio. So enjoy your self-guided tour. Yes, ma'am.
Is there a particular area of town, an area of town where they were placed in homes or residential areas where they're still existent in private?
Well, what I have been trying to do is to get the tiles placed in public places where they're safe.
Right.
And where people can see them. And I've really kind of made it my mission to get those tiles where we can see them in museums. So Sama has a couple of murals. The McNay has 2 murals installed. I give you the picture of them. The Briscoe has a vaquero, a Mexican cowboy mural. I'm just trying to get them in public places. And by the way, you mentioned La Fonda has some wonderful tiles. Most all of them are reproductions out of California. California has taken, these tiles are pretty expensive now because California ran the price up. Got to where I couldn't afford them anymore. And they take the book, they've taken the book and simply, like photographed it and then made their own design, copied the designs. So you can buy those reproductions. Some of them are very well made, and they're not near as expensive. So you can have the look without near the cost of them.
A private San Antonian would have to know either to whom to contact the Conservation Society or some other group and say, we're renovating this area and I do have tiles, do you want them? Other than that,
Okay, example. They were doing near the Hemisphere site that they're working on now. There was a building there and it had tiles. The city historian called me and said, would I come down and identify her tiles for her in that building? And so I was supposed to come down on Monday. Before I got here, she said, you don't need to come. Someone came in over the weekend and took out all the tiles. I know who did it. And because he called me and said he had some tiles, some San Jose tiles. And I said, did you get them out of whatever the address was, 112 whatever street? And he slammed the phone down. So I'm sure those tiles went out to California. Diane Keaton has featured these tiles. She likes to buy houses and redo them, and she put them in Architectural Digest, the pictures, of these gorgeous tiles. Well, that started something really, when it got that kind of publicity. But there are a lot more tiles within homes in Dallas, Texas. Mrs. Harris, when we were going to have the Texas Centennial in 1936 in Dallas at the State Fair grounds, she went up there, put herself in the hotel, and invited contractors in the Dallas area to come in and look at the fountains that could be done, murals that could be put at the entrance of places, and they're there. I've given a couple of lectures up in the Dallas area telling them where their tiles came from. And it's just wonderful that they have it, but we don't have much of it here. There was a house very recently in the past year and a half that had whole nichos, big things, with tiles like this and cobalt background and the mural in the middle, and it's like a whole, yay wide, beautiful. 2 of them. And they were in a house that was designed by Robert Ayers, Atlee B. Ayers' son. And it's over near Trinity University. A couple bought that house, and the first thing they did was tear those things out. And they are in a storage area right now of Wallace tile sitting there. It never should have been done. But nothing protects the interior of a house. Anything, they don't mind what happens to the interior as long as you keep the exterior, what people can see. But you can do anything with the interior. Nothing protects it. Sorry about that.
Were there any other questions? Anybody have any? If not,
So enjoy your lunch. And enjoy from now on, maybe when you see tiles around, you'll know a little bit more about them. And don't tear them out. Thank you.
Thank you, Susan.
Susan. I just wanted to present you. Joe reminded me to make sure I got one of those and presented. Keeping everyone young and in spirit. Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Susan. So before we go to lunch, if I can get everyone to bow your head and we'll say a little blessing here. Father God, we just thank you for bringing all of us here today. We thank you for bringing Susan and her message to tell us all about the wonderful tiles that we have all over our city. We thank you, Father, for the food that we're fixing to eat. We thank you for the hands that prepared it. And we ask that you bless it to the nourishment of our bodies and our bodies to your service. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.